Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciate that. Thank you to my subscribers and followers. Share it with your friends and families. It goes a long ways with me. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you come across the channel, please don't leave without hitting the subscription and the likes. Muchly would appreciate that. As we are growing a channel, and our motto here is we take great pride in that we don't give you gossip information, run things off, which end up being 99% of the time do not come into fruition and never happen. So we don't believe in doing that. We'll wait till factual information falls. And next, we don't use clickbait. Now, let's get to it. This was exciting. Game one. Montreal, because as we know, we're up against Tampa Bay in the playoffs, first round. My projection for this was 6. Now, that was being generous to Montreal. Um, these teams are well matched, 6 games, but I put it in favor of Tampa just due to experience. And the biggest crunch for me was the loss of Dobson because he did such a wonderful job shutting down Kucherov. I think that will play itself out. Loss of him. However, game one was exciting, outstanding, and a night for history. All right, let's get to the numbers. We'll talk about the rest of it afterwards. Stats first. All right, first period, Montreal comes out 1-0. Great. Second period, Tampa comes out and gets the lead. Goes ahead 2-1. Montreal manages to tie it before the second is over. So we got 2 for Tampa in the period, 1 for Montreal. In third period, 1 apiece. And in overtime, Montreal gets the 1 goal and gets the 4-3 victory. And what an emotional, historic night in Tampa. As I say, we will be getting to that very shortly as I get through all the stats. We're going to show you how the story. Juraj Slavkovsky was the first star with 3 goals, hat trick, first one in Canadians history to get 3 power play goals for a hat trick. So that's a first for Hab. Hagel had himself quite an awesome night too. He had 2 goals, and Nick Suzuki, who was pretty darn solid, had a great night himself, 2 assists. Here's the scoring summary. We got 13-24, Josh Anderson, who played a great game, and what a hit. The smackdown he laid on that young defenseman. Wow. It was a great solid hit. Should have never been a penalty. We'll go there in a bit. Josh gets the goal assisted by Carrier and Mike Matheson. So that gives Montreal 1-0. Of course, 12-15 into the second period. Who else but Radish, who's got that big shot, and Montreal got into penalty trouble. And Kucherov got an assist, and Gensel setting up the play. Then 12:44, Brendan Hagel, of course, assisted by Gensel and Ryan McDonough. That put the Bolts ahead. And then at 19:38, 36, sorry, a nice goal by Juraj Slavkovsky, his first one. Power play assisted by Demidov with a beautiful no-look pass, assisted by Demidov and Cole Caulfield. Okay, so that ended the period at 2-2. Third period started. Juraj Slavkovsky gets it at 5:56, gets another power play goal assisted by Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. What a pass. Feed out right in the slot in front, and Slavkovsky wasted no time letting the shot go. Beat Vasilevsky. Nice goal. 8:58, Hagel gets another one because Montreal gets a dumbass penalty, thanks to Bolduc. So Hagel gets a goal assisted by Gensel and Kucherov, of course. So Kucherov's still getting his, as well as we covered him, he's still getting his name on the board. And then we got to overtime, 122 in, and Marty St. Louis calls a timeout with 40 seconds, I believe, remaining left in the power play. Juraj Slavkovsky gets his third power play goal. This is the winner in overtime. It's by Lane Hudson and Nick Suzuki, and he just wires a shot over the shoulder, far side. Beautiful goal coming down the left side. A great setup, and that's how your game ends. This was a dogfight. Truthfully, Dobish held us in hugely. Um, It was a good, solid game for both teams. Don't get me wrong, but Tampa had the edge in this game. They were really bringing it. They were bringing it quite a bit. So we were fortunate. We kind of stole one here. Although we did play well. Don't get me wrong, but we will not be able to rely on this line to do it all. So that's going to be something Montreal's going to have to get the other, because we had two lines that were horrible. All right, so final shot stats are 23-19 in favor of Tampa. Hits were 44-42 in favor of Tampa. Penalty minutes 14 apiece. And that is that. So 61 percentile for the faceoffs for Montreal to 30, Tampa's 39. So that was huge for Montreal. That played huge dividends. Okay, let's see if we got that. Make sure I got you all the stats. Faceoffs 136-23 for Montreal. Power play opportunities 5 apiece. Montreal gets 3 power play goals to Tampa's 2, but both teams you can't give these teams. Montreal's power play turned around drastically in this game. 60% for Montreal, 40 for Tampa. No shorthanded goals. 7-6 in the penalty department for Tampa. 14 penalty minutes apiece. Block shots 17-10 for Montreal. Takeaways 7-6 for Tampa. Giveaways 16-9 for Montreal. They'll have to be careful with that. So that was great. That's how it ends. What more can you say? This was a phenomenal effort by the Montreal Canadiens. What a night for Jari Slavkovsky. This kid is coming into his end, and it was nice to see because he got jolted, majorly tagged by McDonough, and it got up and went right back after him. No back down. That showed a lot of character and didn't just let it get to him. He just went right at it, and that was quite a hit by McDonough. Solid hit. And then we go back to Andy and Evans kind of sandwiching that young kid. I forget the kid's name. Anyway, I'm not even worried about it. He's a Tampa Bay player, youngster, and he just got rocked. And this was good because this kind of countered. Tampa really came after Hudson, and so for Andy to say, okay, you want to play that? We're going to send you a message. Your defense better have your head up all night. And it was a clean damn hit, and he just rocked him. But he didn't know what rink he was in. No doubt in my mind. Good, clear message. And that's going to be key for Montreal is to keep that on Tampa's defense. If we can keep that type of physicality on their defense, we can get a long ways. Tampa's an older team. We can't take them lightly. They got the experience. They have tons of players with the experience. Stanley Cup winners. What a coach in Cooper. And, this was a game both teams are going to have to settle down with their penalties. Although the refs, pathetic officiating. Let these guys play in and decide the game. Anywho, great job for Dobish to hold Montreal in. No, it didn't look like tons of shots, but 23 shots. He stopped 20 of them. They had high quality chances. I was quite proud and good to see. Jack to me had a very solid game. This is the best game he's had in a while, in my opinion. Struble was solid. I just found Hudson was great offensively. He's a little shaky, although the pressure was on him. They were after him big time. So he's got to still work on his choices. He's gotten beat a few times. However, he did manage to skate his butt off and catch one of the mistakes he made and kind of block the guy from getting a good clear shot. So that was good to see. But Hudson's phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. There was a comparison made on Marinero, and I'll tell you right now, no and ifs and buts. Don't ever tell me. I love Hudson. He is the best Montreal Canadiens defenseman, and it's not close. Is Larry Robinson. He was the complete package. So for Tony, I watch your show continually, but don't give me the garbage. You watch hockey, and Hudson is pretty to watch, but he's not the complete package. Larry Robinson was the complete package. So yes, Hudson is the best we've had in a long time. No and ifs and buts, but complete package, no, 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 no. Like I think I don't know if it was Pierre or Brian Wild. Anyway, they said Larry and I have to agree 100%. Not even close. And here's the other thing they were talking about. Yes, I love Nick Suzuki. He's definitely a first line center, no doubt. The only department I've said over and over he lags in is the faceoffs. He did really well last night, however, but he doesn't have that consistency. But for those guys to say he's the best center, yeah, okay, he might be the best producing center, but don't tell me he was the best at faceoffs and defensive play. Yes, he's a good 200 footer. There was no one that touched Guy Carbonneau at center, and no one beat him in the faceoff department. His numbers were through the roof. So wake up, you forgot somebody. You're just looking at scoring capability, production. So wake up. Don't give me the crap. Don't get a center. It's all three components. And I'm sorry, for me, Guy had a complete package in that realm. Now, like I say, offensively, I give Suzuki the credit. His play ability and IQ are way up there, no doubt. His playmaking and his scoring capability, no doubt about it. And he's got a good 200-foot game. Guy's 200-foot game was even better, and Guy's face-offs were better. Now, he didn't have the production of Nick, that's for sure. That's the differences between them. But both great centers. But don't sit there and tell me and you how you can miss a name like Guy Carbonneau. Wake up, Marinero. And I love your show, but that just shows your lack of sensibility. And even Brian should have picked up on Guy Carbonneau and Pierre Maguire. They all should have picked up on that. So, however, I did agree with a lot of things. Great to see Slaf be the first Canadians to get 3 power play goals in Canadians history. So that was a great thing. Good on the kid. He played a strong game. He was definitely the player of the game. No, hands down. Hagel would be number two because he had a solid game. But Dobish was definitely, in my opinion, should have been. Andy also had a solid game. And I think Montreal should. I'd like to see us keep Andy because now that he's actually gotten his confidence back. At the beginning when last year began, he changed. Marty turned him into a different player and gave him penalty kill responsibility, and he's turned him into a really good a much better player because he's fitting the role he's suited for. But his forecheck and his hitting ability, physicality, we need it. I would find a way to extend his contract. He's one guy I would extend his contract. Um, I know I don't agree with, unfortunately, I think Galley, once his contract's up, we'll have to move on. However, now let's talk about players who didn't show up. Balduke, to me, should be sat. I thought he was the worst Canadian. Him and Doc. Might have been worse. Doc, hmm. Doc brought a little bit of physicality, but it just wasn't enough. There was no intensity, there was no urgency to his game. Didn't like it. I think he should be sat. Well, they got a choice between him, Balduke, and Texier, and all three of those players to me on the offensive side screwed to the other lines because it was really imperative for Jake Evans' line with Anderson on it that thank God they had a positive game. But that line two stunk to high heaven. I think you got to get Kapanen back on, give him a shot back on it because it's not working. I think that'll get it rolling. I think he had a better game, even though he was just very. It was quiet for him, but he played a much more solid game than those players we mentioned. So I think he should get him back at the center spot and put Newhook and Demidov there. Demidov had a very strong game as well. Um, where do we go from there? Uh, Again, I thought. I thought that there was just too many. There was a few passengers on that offensive line for sure. For Montreal, far too many passengers, um, and they got two lines that got to wake the hell up. Actually, really, they relied. Line one and line four were the lines that did it all, so they got to wake up two lines. So there is going to have to be. I think Galley should be brought in because he'll bring some intensity. Put him as a fourth liner. Um, however you want to rotate your line there, or put him on the third line. I think Kapanen's the guy that needs to move up, and Montreal just needs to decide which of the three. I'd like to see Valeno back in with Galley. That's for sure. I'd like to see two guys back in, and who you choose out of the three, I don't know. I think I would lean to keeping Tex. I know Texier had a soft game, but I think he can be a threat. Like I say, I'm just not impressed. Not impressed. He didn't impress me. He just, I think he could be a weapon if they can get him on point. I just really felt that Bolduc and Doc had the worst game, I thought, and well, actually, Bolduc probably did too, because Bolduc made some decision making, and he's got to wake up. I think he needs a wake up call. He could turn into something in the future. He's got the capability, but until they get that stupidity of his not reaching the center line, he's got to get that out of his head. And he's just making bonehead plays, and then dumbass penalty, which costed us, tied the damn game up. So I think he'd be one of my choices to sit. Doc would be probably my other choice for the time being. However, it'd be nice if Doc could get going because he's got the size. But they got to do something because I think we need some grit at it, and that's both Volino and Galley will add to that. They're not going to add you much on the offense, like scoring potential. However, Galley can score. Volino not so much, but I think defensively, Volino offers you a lot more for the penalty kill, and he's gritty. They both have the grit, and I think Montreal needs it. So maybe you do use a rotation through this series. You're probably going to need it. I think we did quite well for not having Dobson. I'm shocked because I projected the Tampa because of the injury to win this in six, and it's only because of the injury. I think if Montreal had Dobson, I would have put it the other way. But I think this series may go seven. These teams are well matched, and I liked seeing Arbor give it to Kucherov as well. He was just giving them the bounces and knew when to back off and just not go too far. I was pissed off at one goal in front of the net, and it was the third goal where Matheson didn't get his stick in between that pass through from Gensel to Hagel. And the other problem I had with was, yes, he missed. He wasn't. His stick was in the wrong position. Didn't tie, and Gooley didn't have the stick tied of Hagel. And what the hell was Hagel doing behind Gooley? So I put it on Gooley too. He's got to tie his man up. These guys got to stop letting men behind them. Get in front of them so you see the player and you tie up his stick. That's the catch. Watch the sticks. Montreal's got to watch the discipline right now. Get those penalties down, and we could take this thing. However, we'll see what happens. I was very proud of them, and congrats to the young Slavkovsky, for making history. And what a wonderful game. I hope he keeps rocking it. But Montreal's cannot think that they can only run off of one line. Tampa will make adjustments, and you can expect Tampa to come out flying in game two. We better be ready, and we better have a couple of all four of our lines woken up. You're not going to win this thing on two lines. So we were fortunate to get this one, and that was a lot. Big thanks to Dobish holding us in, no doubt about it. And thank God the power play was rocking. So that being said, go Habs go. Quite proud of the way this went. But boy, we got some players and a few little tweaks to make because we can't have passengers on this. Thanks for watching. You've seen it here at Center Heights Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe, and we shall catch you in the review for tomorrow night's game, Game 2.